things that the conservatives done should be considered atrocities. Literally 14 million people estimated to die because of the shutting down of USA aid. That is an atrocity that the U.S. conservative MAGAs need to answer for. They need to answer for. They need to be charged in some form of like new modern day Nuremberg trial, because they are literally killing people by the thousands. One of the first things Pam Bondi did after she got into office, literally hours after getting into office, she created the Weaponizing Working Group. And what this group is to investigate groups who investigated Donald Trump. Essentially, it was Donald Trump's way of weaponizing. They're doing exactly what they were claiming was being done to Donald Trump. If you were investigating Donald Trump, they're investigating you now. That's what they were doing. Also, should be known that that was one of the first things that happened whenever she got in office. We now have a January 6th rioter, someone who was a former FBI guy, charged with insurrection, who attacked the Capitol, who is egging people on. He has now been hired by the Department of Justice and put in and is working in this weaponization working group. Jared Weiss was on trial for the insurrection, for his actions during the insurrection, whenever President Trump got into office and gave all of them pardons. We saw the insurrection on the news. We watched it live as these conservative MAGA supporters attacked the Capitol. We watched it, and Donald Trump pardoned all of those individuals. As soon as he got into the office, one of the first things he did was pardon 1,500 insurrectionists. Of these 1,500 people, now they're even rewarding them with jobs in the government. I mean, there was an attempt to overthrow our nation. He's back in office now, and they're turning our nation. They've already done it. They've gone after every aspect of our nation. They're going after the separation of powers. Donald Trump is defanging the judges, the federal judges, and he's using the Supreme Court that he put in there to do it. And in the past few months, Donald Trump and the MAGA conservative politicians have literally overthrown our nation. They've overthrown the United States. They're attacking the Constitution on so many different levels, literally, whether it be attacking the First Amendment rights of news organizations, of protesters. Now they're still trying to work this big, ugly fucking bill through. And what the deal is they're literally trying to rape the poorest, the most vulnerable people in our society. They're just milking them and giving it to the stupid wealthy. This Murkowski lady, she got up there, and Miss Murkowski, someday I hope you see this. I saw your video where you tried to stare down that reporter when he called your bullshit out.
Senator Paul said that that your vote was a bailout for Alaska at the expense of the rest of the country.
Oh my.
That's what Senator Paul said.
My question was easy. Senator, we've got the...
I didn't say it, ma'am. I'm just asking for your response.
My response is, I have an obligation to the people of the state of Alaska. And I live up to that every single day. Do I like this bill? No, because I tried to take care of Alaska's interests. But I know that in many parts of the country, there are Americans that are not going to be advantaged by this bill.
You sold out all of the American people on Medicare. You said you weren't going to. But conservatives said you weren't going to go after Medicare and Medicaid. And you know what? We should have known you were going to, because you're liars. You're nothing but liars. You lie constantly. And this is proof. And now you're doing your thing. You're going after your big, beautiful bill, and you're trying to gut the American population. You're trying to take and make as many Americans dirt poor as you can. You're taking away all the support systems. Things that the conservatives done should be considered atrocities. Literally 14 million people estimated to die because of the shutting down of USA aid. That is an atrocity that the U.S. conservative MAGAs need to answer for. They need to answer for. They need to be charged in some form of like new modern day Nuremberg trial, because they are literally killing people by the thousands. And that's not what's going to happen whenever they start cutting people out of Medicaid and Medicare. Whenever these elderly people who have no family, no money, they're dependent on that for just to get in, let's keep them living in the nursing home. Well, what's going to happen then? You know, this is just one huge step to destroy our country. Vladimir Putin must be just giddy with what's going on right now. This is hurting America so bad. And all the conservative politicians, they're freaking bought out. Right now, one of the things that's going on right now, they're calling the hard nose and the ones who refuse to go for it, they're calling them all personally to the White House. They're all being called to the White House. Those who resisted Donald Trump's vote the first time and who say they're going to resist it again. They're calling them to the White House so Donald Trump can personally browbeat them into passing this bill through. This is not how the government works. Our country has been overthrown. I mean, we're on the very last brink of the United States of America. If you're an older person like me and you've been here since 40 or 50 years, you know what it was like to live in the United States of America. That is gone. It wasn't Democrats, it wasn't immigrants that did this. It was conservatives. Donald Trump, the MAGA conservatives, have literally turned our nation into 1939 Germany. And I know you think I'm shitting, but we now literally have concentration camps here in the United States. We've got other members of the Senate calling for more of these things, and they are bragging about this alligator Alcatraz. They want people to get hurt. They're giddy. They're giddy for people to try to leave and escape from this prison, this concentration camp, so they can get eaten by alligators. What the fuck kind of people are running our country? Jesus fucking Christ. What is going on? They're going to starve us to death. It's literally a billionaire war. We're got to get money out of politics. We got to shut Fox News down and prosecute the people in Fox News. Don't just fine them, prosecute them bastards for telling lies and spreading misinformation and undermining our republic, lying to the people so the money could undermine the Constitution. They should pay for that, not just dollars. These conservative people over on Fox News need to be tried and go to prison for the lies they spread. Gavin Newsom is suing them for $700 and some odd million for lying. They need to be sued for lying more often. Fox News needs to be sued out of existence, and the talking heads who have intentionally, knowingly spread lies, and we know who they are. We have their messages. That's why they paid out those millions of dollars, because they knew they were busted. We had the messages, the emails, the text messages confirming they knew that they were telling lies. These people need to go to prison. They do. Look at the damage. They're estimated 14 million people are going to die because of the cuts to USA aid. So to you out there who took an oath to the Constitution, you did not take an oath to Donald Trump. You took an oath to the Constitution to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution is under attack right now from a domestic threat. They're using both violence, they're using the law, they're attacking it through whether they're going after, like I said earlier, they're going after people who are trying to use their First Amendment rights. They've gotten rid of the due process, 14th Amendment. If you've even heard in the news about the due process, how people are not getting the due process, Donald Trump is violating the 14th Amendment of the Constitution right there. Do your fucking jobs. Do your fucking jobs.